right, good afternoon. My name is Greg Bovino. I'm the Commander at Large for Customs and Border Protection Assets here in the great city of Minneapolis. I'm here to talk with you today about interior enforcement, border security, and making our communities and our nation a safer place. I'm joined by my colleague, Executive Associate Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Mr. Marcos Charles. Now, folks, let me be clear from the start that public safety in Minneapolis is not negotiable. When violent criminals exploit gaps in enforcement, gaps at that state and local level most especially, federal law enforcement has a responsibility to act. That is why we are here, and that is what this operation is about. Our operations are lawful, they're targeted, and they're focused on individuals who pose a serious threat to this community. They are not random, and they are not political. They are about removing criminals who are actively harming Minneapolis neighborhoods. For too long, residents have been told that enforcing our nation's immigration laws undermines public safety. In reality, the opposite is true. When the law is not enforced, violent offenders remain free. Criminal networks expand, and the community pays the price. Our neighbors, our citizens, our friends pay the price. Rather than confront that reality of which I've just spoken, leaders like Tim Walz or Mayor Fry have relied on heated rhetoric and accusations that distract from the facts. The facts are that federal agents are arresting murderers, rapists, child predators, cartel-connected criminals, and other individuals who pose a real danger to the people of Minneapolis. As these operations began and since, there have been constant attempts to interfere with lawful enforcement of our nation's Title VIII immigration laws here in Minneapolis. Officers have been violently and aggressively assaulted, objects have been thrown, and vehicles damaged. Despite that violence, enforcement has continued unabated. Our officers remain professional, focused, courteous, and committed to the mission. That mission, again, being Title VIII immigration enforcement. This effort reflects a coordinated federal approach. Agencies are working together under Title VIII authorities, agencies like the United States Border Patrol, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and many other allied law enforcement agencies, FBI, DEA, ATF, and many others have came together under this operation, under this umbrella. We share intelligence and execute operations in a unified manner. That coordination is essential to effective enforcement and public safety. Since the start of this operation, we have arrested some of the most dangerous criminal offenders operating in Minnesota. In the entire state of Minnesota, we have arrested some of the most violent criminal offenders right here in this city. These are not minor violators or minor garden variety criminals. These are repeat offenders with serious criminal histories. Now, folks, before I came here today, I printed out a few individuals that I'd like to share with you. Individuals that were arrested since yesterday. These three individuals were arrested just since yesterday. Keep in mind now, these individuals were walking the streets of Minneapolis with impunity as of yesterday. We've got Hovai Kumaye, a illegal alien from Laos, a registered sex offender convicted of sex offense against a child, including fondling and failure to register as a sex offender. This individual was walking the streets of Minneapolis just yesterday. This individual right here. It's very interesting that I haven't seen this individual or many others like him reported on very much by the local news media or the state news media. That's interesting. But wait, let's don't quit there. No, you can't. Let's continue here. We've got Samuel Aravelo Hernandez, a criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, charged with rape and lewd or lascivious acts with a minor. Now, think about that for just a second. Rape, and then on top of that, lewd and lascivious acts with a minor. This individual was walking the streets of Minneapolis with impunity just yesterday. Let's don't quit there. Let's keep on there. We've got Annabelle Gomez, a criminal illegal alien from Honduras, previously arrested for criminal sexual conduct and domestic assault. Other convictions include disorderly conduct and driving under the influence of liquor. Walking the streets as of yesterday. These are just three that I decided to print out. There's a whole stack of them. There's a whole stack of these. As a matter of fact, when we look over the past year at the 10,000 that have been arrested here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, that stack is enormous. These are the kinds of individuals this operation focuses on. Individuals who escalate situations and endanger others. Again, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, and Ma and Pa America. This is exactly why interior enforcement exists, to remove dangerous criminals from our communities, remove dangerous illegal alien criminals from our communities. It's also important, folks, to address a point that's often overlooked. Interior enforcement does not exist in isolation. It's not just about interior enforcement. It's a dichotomy here. It's interior enforcement and border enforcement. What happens in Minneapolis is directly connected at what happens at our borders. Interior enforcement and border enforcement, border security, are intricately connected. For years, federal law enforcement was placed in a defensive posture, especially over those past 4 years. Agents were overwhelmed, processing massive numbers of illegal aliens coming into the country, often with limited vetting, minimal accountability, and few consequences. I think that's proven right here just by those three that I held up there. Time and resources that should have been dedicated to public safety were diverted to administrative processing, and criminal organizations exploited that environment. Over the past year, under the leadership of our President, Donald J. Trump, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, that dynamic has changed. It's changed radically. It's changed more than I've ever seen in my over 3 decades in law enforcement. Border enforcement has reached historic levels. I actually called back to my home sector in El Centro today. They had one apprehension over the past 24 hours. One along that 75-mile stretch of border in El Centro alone. Last week, there were several days where they had 0 border crossers in that sector. That's the same thing across all 20 Border Patrol sectors. Very few crossings. Illegal crossings have dropped to record lows. Catch and release has ended. Consequences have been restored. Again, consequences restored. Because the border is now secure, law enforcement can do its job more effectively. Agents are no longer tied up processing and releasing individuals into the interior, individuals that we just talked about. They can focus on who is coming into this country, and just as importantly, identifying and removing those who should not be here. And that shift matters. It allows for meaningful vetting, targeted enforcement, and a renewed focus on public safety over paperwork. Public safety over paperwork. Border security provides operational control, disrupts cartel pipelines, and prevents criminal flow from reaching American cities. It also allows law enforcement to focus, again, on removing individuals who slip through during years of failed policies and later committed serious crimes. What happens on the border doesn't stay on the border. Border enforcement and interior enforcement are 2 parts of the same mission. A secure border without interior enforcement leaves communities vulnerable. And interior enforcement without border control is unsustainable. Again, it's that dichotomous relationship. When both are aligned, the results are clear. Over the course of this administration, more than 10,000 criminal illegal aliens, as I said, have been apprehended here in Minneapolis over the past year. And in just the last 6 weeks alone, during this most current surge, 3,000 arrests of some of the most dangerous offenders operating in Minneapolis have occurred. 3,000. These are not technical violations, as I mentioned. These are individuals responsible for serious harm. Think about it for just a second, what the rape of a child actually entails. It seems as if that's glossed over by the media oftentimes. What does that entail, and what's that like? Think about that. Murderers, rapists, gang members, they're not the people we want in our community. This is what public safety looks like when the law is enforced consistently and professionally. We will continue enforcing the law. We will continue making arrests, and we will continue working to keep Minneapolis safe. The mission continues at the border and in the interior, because that effective enforcement depends on both occurring at the same time. Let's make America safe again. Honor first. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon. My name is Marcos Charles. As Greg introduced, I am the Executive Associate Director for ICE Enforcement Removal Operations. Thank you for joining us. We announced the current status of Operation Metro Surge. As you know, the Department of Homeland Security has arrested over 10,000 illegal aliens in Minnesota since President Trump took office. Over the weekend and through yesterday's holiday, ICE arrested 113 illegal aliens in Minnesota. Some of the criminal aliens that were arrested, whose photos you see beside me on the monitor, include an illegal alien gang member from Laos with convictions for homicide and robbery, an illegal alien from Laos who's been convicted for sodomizing a 12-year-old girl and sexual assault, an illegal alien from the Marshall Islands who has 24 criminal convictions, including assault, domestic abuse, and theft. There's an illegal alien from Honduras convicted of 3 DUIs who has also been arrested for kidnapping, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and possession of a stolen firearm. An illegal alien from South Africa convicted of violating a restraining order and arrested for domestic violence, assault, meth possession, and DUI. We are currently also looking for 2 sexual predators who are at large in or around St. Paul right now. Lu Mao Ah, a criminal illegal alien from Laos who is wanted for sexually assaulting a child, rape, kidnapping, and domestic violence. And Kong Ming Bang, a criminal illegal alien from Laos who is wanted for sexual assault, gang activity, and simple assault. If you have any information about these 2 criminal illegal aliens or any other criminal illegal aliens, please call the ICE tip line at 866 DHS 2 ICE or visit the website at ice.gov to submit a tip. Since President Trump took office 1 year ago today, the state of Minnesota has released nearly 500 criminal aliens who were in police or state custody rather than turning them over to ICE for removal proceedings. Many of these criminals already have a final order of removal, which means an immigration judge has determined that they have no legal basis to remain in the United States. ICE currently has more than 1,360 immigration detainers on illegal aliens in Minnesota jails and prisons, and we are calling on Governor Walz and Mayor Fry to turn these criminal illegal aliens directly over to ICE to keep Minnesota residents in our community safe. If local officials, including those in the Twin Cities, don't want ICE to arrest criminal aliens that are at large in their communities, the best solution is to turn them over to us in a safe, controlled setting like a jail or prison, instead of releasing them back onto the street to victimize our neighborhoods, where your children go to school, where your parents live, and where you worship, shop, and spend time with your loved ones. The holiday weekend's arrests reflect ICE's commitment to public safety and responsible enforcement. When criminal illegal aliens threaten the Twin Cities or any other city in America, we act decisively to remove them from the community in a controlled and lawful manner. Our goal is simple. We're here to protect the American communities from people like the ones you see here on the monitor. Thank you.
For Commander Bovino, some of us in this room, this is A.C. Thompson with PBS Frontline, have followed you from city to city and documented your activities. How is what you're dealing with here different than what we've seen in other places?
Well, Mr. Thompson, thanks for the question. We've been in many cities, as you know. We've been in Los Angeles, Chicago, Charlotte, New Orleans, and now, obviously, Minneapolis. So what we've seen that's a bit different here is the organization of some of the groups. The groups are a bit better organized. They've got some excellent communications, and that coupled with a very poor response from the mayor and the governor, those two things coupled together make that a difficult operating environment at times. And the reason I say that is I just came from Operation Catahoula Crunch there in Louisiana, in which state and locals, including the governor, the mayors, the police chief, worked in close concert for us to do what my colleague here, Marcos Charles, said, and that's remove violent offenders, bad people and bad things from the streets. And in doing that, I had one act of violence against Border Patrol, one notable act of violence against Border Patrol in a month. Here, I've lost count. I've already lost count of how many. I believe we had a vehicle ramming today. We had one yesterday in which two illegal aliens decided that it would be a good idea to ram Border Patrol agents and then take off. And in doing so, they hit a civilian vehicle as well. Those two were apprehended. So it's that collusion and corruption between elected officials and these anarchists that are intent on creating violence for law enforcement. You know, I see a lot of this that mirrors what happened in 2020 right here in this city when they decided to try to burn the city down. It's that same type of rhetoric, that same type of support by those elected officials. So that's very different than what I just witnessed in Louisiana, the place that I just came from.
Senator Bovino, question for you. I'm with Waterhawk. It's hard to get coffee in the Twin Cities without seeing signs of ICE can't enter, but everyone else can, or restaurants or supermarkets. Based on everything you shared today, what is your message to these businesses, these organizations that are obviously trying to push out ICE and your operation?
Sure. And this goes to anyone, not just those businesses and organizations. Don't fall victim. Don't fall victim to that heated rhetoric and those lies that are often spouted by, say, a Mayor Fry. Mayor Fry actually told his police force to fight federal agents in the city. And you should have even seen the look on O'Brien's face, Chief O'Brien. His eyebrows actually raised at that one. So don't fall victim to that. Our Border Patrol agents, our ICE officers, our parents, they're citizens. They enjoy the rule of law just like everyone else. So to deny them a cup of coffee or lawful commerce seems to be absolutely opposite of what we would expect in a lawful, orderly society. Did we like what happened with the church there a couple of days ago when individuals came in and disrupted almost violently a church service? Absolutely not. Same thing. We should treat each other with respect, dignity, and that is why we are here in this city as we take those violent criminals off the streets. That's respect and dignity.
This is for you as well, Commander Bovino. At a press conference today, we heard from several local police chiefs who said that they support ICE, but that certain ICE tactics are making their jobs, keeping their own communities safe, that much harder. What's your response?
I would say that those tactics are born of necessity. What we do is legal, ethical, and moral. Everything we do every day is legal, ethical, moral, well-grounded in law. So I would impugn upon those police chiefs and anyone else, elected representatives, and you have to remember, many of these police chiefs do work for the Mayor Frys of the world, that turn over those illegal aliens, those criminal illegal aliens. You know, let me hold these up again, so it's just so we don't forget this, because it seems like it always gets forgotten. Rape, lewd and lascivious acts against a child. So Mayor Fry is having police chiefs worry about tactics while we're after these type of people. I think that they're asking the wrong questions and their priorities are misplaced. Let's work. Wait, I'm not done yet. Let's work together. And we've said this from the very beginning. We want to work together with local police chiefs and the rank and file. And believe it or not, folks, we work very well together with the rank and file we have in every single city we've been to, whether that's Los Angeles, Chicago. A lot of rank and file gave us a lot of good information on a lot of good criminals, a lot of bad criminals there in Chicago. And then we proved it again in New Orleans. Let's work together to take individuals like this off the street. Had we worked together from the very beginning, perhaps we wouldn't be in the city by the thousands conducting operations that those police chiefs, those mayors, and those elected representatives refuse to partake in.
If I could just follow up though real quick, if I don't think the argument from a lot of people, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who doesn't want criminals who are alleged to do these things out of these communities. I mean, no one wants that. I think where a lot of the criticism comes in is within the tactics that you see ICE and others engaging in, that it's ordinary citizens who are not sex offenders or rapists getting swept up in. So what do you say to that?
Sure. Where you're talking about these ordinary citizens, mom, pa, America, that get swept up in what I see. I'm out on the streets just as Marcos Charles here is. We're on the streets with our troops almost every day. And what we see when folks get swept up, as you say, oftentimes it's those agitators, those rioters, and now I call them anarchists, that actually cause mom, pa, America to sometimes be near, at, or involved in a very tense situation when they shouldn't even be. There's no need for that violence that we see against law enforcement. And again, it seems as the only people that are really dialing down that rhetoric is the federal law enforcement entities that just want to conduct legal, ethical, and lawful law enforcement missions in this city to take out those violent criminals, bad people, and bad things. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
What is the current status of the officer that was involved in the deadly shooting? Is he on administrative leave? And then the second question is, the local police today were accusing both ICE and Border Patrol of having a small group of people within the ranks that are causing these issues. What's your response to that? Either one of you can answer that one. They're saying that it's isolated to a small group of agents that are causing issues.
So the officer that was involved in the shooting last week, or 2 weeks ago now, he's recovering. He's at home recovering.
Is he on administrative leave or is he still involved in the operation?
Right now he's at home recovering. Leave it at that.
And as far as the response to local police saying that it's isolated to a small group of your agents or officers that are causing issues?
So our officers that are out there, CBP, Border Patrol, DOJ partners that are out there, ICE, ERO, HSI, everybody that's out there is a professional. They're out there doing their job. They're everyday people doing a very hard job trying to enforce the immigration laws in an environment where local and state politicians have been spreading rhetoric that dehumanizes these officers and agents.
Commander Bovino, Border Patrol, the Daily Caller. Earlier today, Brooklyn Park police chief said that his department is receiving endless of calls from American citizens saying that their civil rights are being violated by federal agents. And the police chief also went on to say that some of his off-duty officers are also being asked for their immigration status, and one officer was boxing. That's according to the police chief. I just wanted if you had a response for the Brooklyn Park police chief.
Sure. Again, our Border Patrol agents, ICE officers, and those allied federal law enforcement agencies are out there conducting Title VIII immigration, the Title VIII immigration mission. And I'll tell you, when you have a mayor and a police chief, O'Hara, that say call 911 when ICE or Border Patrol's in the neighborhood, and then they wonder why the 911 system is overwhelmed with superfluous calls superfluous calls for assistance when that is not true. So we're going to continue to be out in the community, and we're going to continue to conduct that mission, that legal, lawful Title VIII mission. And, again, I've been out with my Border Patrol agents. Marcos is out constantly with his troops. And what I see out there is a very professional, prudent, and thoughtful law enforcement action. And if somebody needs to use the 911 system, then do it. But let's don't encourage anarchists to utilize a 911 system that hurts other Americans that may need to use that system. A law enforcement professional should know that. Thank you.
Sir, you talk about, why don't you answer that question? Sir, why don't you answer that question? You're not just gonna get to call